And we are live. Welcome to the Real Money Coach Show here on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. We're on all those channels and more. Thank you for being here. You know what to do. There he is. Charles is in the house. Charles is going to be. Charles, I think we got to track this. We got to track how many weeks the same person be number one. Because for a while there, man, Alice Martin had y'all down. I know she's been on vacation, but Charles, good to have you here. So glad that you were here and part of the listening audience tonight. We're excited about what we have going on. There is a buzz in the air. There's a buzz in the air here in the Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina, because there is this magnificent conference. Well, let me say it is an experience in expo, and we're going to talk about that with Dr. George Fraser tonight. We're going to also give you an opportunity to take advantage of 72% off of the registration tonight. But before we get to that, I do want to remind everyone that I will be doing a workshop at the Mount Carmel Baptist Church on Saturday. It's a men's conference that will take place Friday and Saturday. You can go to mcbaptist.org and you can go to the events tab, find more out about that. Again, we have Chris Canty, some other folks, ESPN personalities, and there's also going to be a special presentation, video presentation by James Brown. I got a sneak preview of it. It's awesome. You want to make sure that you're here. It's only $35 for adult men, high school, college age, $10, 16 and under free. But if you need free tickets, you just let us know. We don't want economics to be a reason why you don't come out and be a part of this conference. It is going to be an awesome conference. We're going to be talking about relationships. We're going to be talking about money. We're going to be talking about manhood and all of those things. So that is this Friday and Saturday at the Mount Carmel Baptist Church, 7335 Tuckasegee Road here in the Queen City. So that is my announcement for tonight. Right now, I want to bring on my co-host. You all know her as, look at there. There's Janice. Listen, I don't know if this is Tuesday night or Thursday night. I got Charles in the audience. I got Janice, the Rainmaker, in, and I got Dr. Fraser. It looks like a Thursday night generational wealth gathering on a Tuesday. But without any further ado, let me bring on my co-host, Michelle Mitchell. Michelle, how you doing?
I'm good, Tony. How you doing?
Hi, Michelle. I'm doing real good. Real good. Michelle, it was so interesting. I have all of our shows and the podcast and the radio and all that. You know, a lot of it is in my Apple Music.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes it automatically comes on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was driving down to Georgia, Gainesville, Georgia, meeting with a client, and then one came on with Nicole Triplett.
Oh, okay.
And I was just like, it was a great show. We talked about Kalamazoo and all that kind of stuff. And so I know you and her are, pretty close and doing some things there in the great city of Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
Which brings me to this. What's going on in Kalamazoo? What do you got going?
Oh, what's going on in Kalamazoo?
Because tomorrow is the first Wednesday.
Tomorrow is the first Wednesday.
And your financial roundtable is the
second Wednesday.
Second Wednesday.
Yes,
they got a week to get ready.
They got a week to get ready. We're talking about strategic pricing. So if you have questions about pricing, we're probably going to answer them.
Strategic pricing.
That's correct.
That's good.
Yes.
So I know one of the, and we don't want to give it away. We want y'all to tune in, but I know one of the things they said, don't make that price. Don't make it $3. Make it $2.99. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Or $2.97.
Yes. There's some pricing psychology. And there's a lot of different ways you can price. You can price value pricing. You can price, cost plus pricing. There's just a lot of ways you can price different things. And for those of you who are business owners, you probably understand pricing. But those of you who are like nonprofits, you have a price as well. You just don't know it.
the nonprofit price,
The
right?
nonprofit price.
Nonprofit.
Exactly.
Well, and I think one of the things, and I think it's really good that you're doing that, because I think one of the things that many businesses struggle with, if you're selling widgets,
Mm-hmm.
selling those type of things, I think the pricing models are a lot easier.
Easier.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When you're a consultant,
When you're a
you're a
consultant,
coach,
when you're a
how
coach.
do you price yourself then? I think that's a great
Yes.
topic to go in, because
Yeah.
and it's a matter of the value that you bring.
It's the psychology of the value of the person who's making the purchase.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you've planted that value,
That's right.
right, and if you can prove that value, you show that
Right.
value.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty dope. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing next Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, on Zoom. So join us. It's free.
Pricing.
Strategic pricing.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So how does that relate with getting paid what you're worth? I mean, that all comes into that, right?
It does. It's the value of what you bring to the table. So people are not paying for an hour of your time. They are paying for the 25 years of experience that you've had, in addition to theory, in addition to practice, in addition to experience. So what's the value of your hour?
Well, okay, Michelle, this goes back. This goes back to, man, probably, I bet you, the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor Williams, that married your bestie and me.
Yes.
Pastor Williams, I remember he sat down and he told me, we was having a conversation one day, and he said, son, there's going to come a day when people are going to pay you for what you know, not for what you do.
Exactly.
And I think that's coming. I think that's
yeah.
That's good.
We are of that age. Because look, I was on a call today, and so I teach a class it's called Beta, like with Nicole Triplett, actually, and it's for Black entrepreneurs training, and I teach the financial piece, right? And what he told me on our sales call was that, Michelle, you gave us so much information in that training that I knew you were out of my price range. I'm like, but I said nothing about price. I said nothing, but it's the perceived price.
The perceived
that
price
he had in his mind. But I said nothing about price throughout my whole teaching, nothing about it.
Right.
So I'm like,
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
But he felt like it was out of reach. But he took the next step and actually got on a call. And then he said, that's not out of reach. I can do that.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
What a great story. Great story. Well, listen, we're going to take a quick break here, and then we're going to come back with the fabulous Dr. George C. Fraser, and we're going to be talking about the Power Networking Experience and Expo that's coming to the Queen City July 10th through the 13th. You want to make sure y'all get y'all tickets. So we'll take a quick break. We'll come back with Dr. Fraser.
Do you have passion for your business but feel like your finances are falling short? Running a business takes more than a great idea. It takes a solid financial plan. Mitchell Consulting can help you turn your passion into profit with their financial advisory services. Get the financial guidance your business needs. Contact Mitchell Consulting to learn more about their passion to profit capabilities.
Take control of your finances today with The Real Money Coach. Our free financial wellness checkup offers personalized insights and strategies to secure your financial future. Don't miss out on the clarity and confidence you deserve. Visit www.therealmoneycoach.com now. That's www.therealmoneycoach.com right now to start your journey towards financial freedom. Your future self will thank you.
Our Legacies Foundation is dedicated to preserving and celebrating the rich generational legacies of people of African descent to be handed on to the next generation for them to do the same. Give the gift of legacy, one swing at a time.
There it is. I'm excited about that. That is going to be so much fun at the Top
Yes.
Golf event. And matter of fact, we've been to the Top Golf.
We have.
You and your husband Tony, me, and Lisa and I had a great time. And
Always, yeah.
always a great time there. And matter of fact, I took Lisa to Top Golf one day. We just went there for dinner.
Really?
Yeah,
Nice.
on our way to the movies, at night. So we just said, well, let's just, it was close on the way. So we just ran in, had little salads and whatnot, and headed on over to the movies. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We will have a live remote from the radio station will be there at the event too. So that's going to bring a lot of fun, a lot of energy and that type of thing. But what I want to do is bring onto the stage with us Dr. George Fraser so we could talk about this wonderful conference that's coming up. Dr. Fraser, how are you tonight? But you're used to getting those type of applauses. I mean, let's be honest about it.
Right.
Well, and I'm humbled by them to think that people applaud anything that I do is an honor bigger and greater than myself. I love it. It's nice. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Fraser, this will be the 23rd. Am I correct? The 23rd
Yes.
Year of the Power Networking, formerly known as the conference. Now it is Experience and Expo. And I think that's an appropriate name, Experience. This will be my 7th one. Man, time has gone by fast. This will be my 7th one. As a matter of fact, let's see, what's today? Today is the 4th. In 10 days, we would have been in Charlotte for 10 years.
Wow.
Wow.
10 years we moved to Charlotte.
Wow.
So
and you blinked your eyes and 10 years are gone.
10 years are gone. 10 years gone. And now, there's 5 grandkids. Just life has changed in the last.
A daughter-in-law.
You got a daughter-in-law, in which I was honored that. Trey, Tony the Third, is going to have his christening ceremony, and I've been asked to preach that ceremony, so that'll be special.
Wow.
So this thing called life, man, it's some people complain about life, Dr. Fraser. I don't have no complaints. Even the rough places made us who we are today. I mean, so there's no regrets.
Right.
Amen. And you look like a person without worry, which means you manage and process stress really in a sort of a healthy kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't depress you; it inspires you.
Mm-hmm.
I love the little sign that Michelle has right behind her head. Do what you love.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, can I add something to that?
Yes.
Because I'm going to add something to it that will be the secret of all success. Do what you love with people that you love.
Yeah.
You cannot fail.
That's good.
Right?
There.
Now, this is a lot easier said than done.
It is.
Because you're going to probably have to bless and release or get rid of a lot of people that you thought you loved, but ended up finding out, not really. You have to test this time. Time tells on everybody and everything, right? So you need time. But I love that. That is do what you love, but I want to add with people that you love. That's the ultimate.
That's the ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, I love Tony, and I love whatever we can do together, we do together.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoy working with him because he's a moral, human, and humane person with good common sense and good reasoning. And how can I lose being around him?
Well, I tell you, I love one of the quotes from Tony Dungy in his book, Uncommon. And that quote is that common sense ain't common. Right? Like he ain't got no common sense. Well, common sense ain't common, right? So,
Right.
yeah. So Dr. Fraser, tell us a little bit about the Power Networking Conference, and it'd be interesting just to get an idea from you. And I ran into this lady.
You didn't hurt her, did you?
I didn't hurt her.
Not in the hospital, did you?
I did actually bump into her. I did actually bump into her, right? And and as it turns out, she gave me this flyer for a soul concert at the Poconos, right? So, but we were talking, and she said she was from Cleveland, and I said, "Well, have you ever heard of George Fraser?" She says, "George Fraser." She says, "I used to go to all of his stuff back in the day. We used to have these events," and she was trying to think of the name of it. And she's like, it was like a business networking event, and then it turned into a conference, and I was going to that, and she says I never missed one of them.
Right.
Back in Cleveland, and she lives here now in Charlotte. I said, well, it's coming to Charlotte.
Wow.
It's time for you to re-engage.
That's
Right?
right. There you go.
So, but why did you start the networking conference and the Power Networking and that name by itself? Because you hear all kinds of networking events, but the Power Networking.
Yeah. Well, the conference is 23 years old, but it started way before. It was an annual conference. It was a monthly event in Cleveland, Ohio, and it was called Success Net.
That's what you say.
Through networking, right? And I would put it on once a month. We'd bring in, some high-profile speaker, Earl Graves, John Johnson, Susan Taylor. They would be the attraction because I did not have a big name and reputation. I hadn't written any books, but I gave up $1 million business opportunity. I was selected as one of 12 people, Black men in America, to go through the Ford Motor Minority Dealer Development Program. It's the first time they had ever had one. So I was to be the first Ford, Lincoln, Mercury dealer in Cleveland, Ohio. And it was a 2-year program. You got a car and 50 grand to go through the program each year. And I graduated number 1 in the class. And I decided I actually didn't want to sell cars for a living. Nothing wrong with selling cars. It would have made me a millionaire. That's not where my heart was. My heart was really in helping our people understand. Now, remember, I'm 30 years old, and my heart was really in helping us understand the power of the human connection. I had succeeded at high levels, even at 30 years old. I was winning awards, and I'm bragging. I'm just saying. And it was really because I understood how to start and to connect and to build and to cultivate and to nurture relationships at work, at home, and in the community. And I felt it was a science that we really hadn't studied. The whole idea of networking, no one was talking about that in our culture. And so I said, I don't want to just say networking. So I said, so I thought of the word. I was the first person in America to put power, and I attached it to networking. In fact, we own that brand and it is trademarked, right? No one can use power networking. They can use power hyphen networking, but together, no. So that was really the idea. It was a labor of love, and it was something bigger than myself. It was a part of a vision, and a vision is to take people, if you're a leader, where you think they need to be going. Maybe they don't see it as you see it in that moment, but over time they will see it. So I saw networking, as I later on reframed it to connecting the dots, as a very famous video that I espoused at the State of Black America with Tavis Smiley about 15 years ago, called Connect the Dots. And a whole nother story in itself how that even happened. That was an accident. But So it was just out of my heart. And when I told my wife that I would not be taking a dealership with the Ford Motor Company, she said, "Oh, really? What are you going to do?" I said, I'm going to teach Black people how to effectively network and understand the human connection. She said, "Really? How are you gonna make any money doing that?"
Mm.
And I said, I don't know. I hadn't figured that out yet. But it's just what I feel that I want to do. I'll figure something out. And then I started putting on these monthly events that became enormously popular. All right, and they were in a bar called Dell's Party Center, which was a bar. I made a simple deal with the owner. I said, "Listen, I'm going to put on an event. I think we're going to get somewhere between two and 500 people. Uh, I'm going to charge them $5 to come into your party center, which is really a bar, and you can get the bar." He said, "That's a deal." That's a deal. And that's how we started, and that's why I started it. And then the rest is history. Because I did not know how to put on big conferences, but I knew that I could figure out how to put on a small event. Now, guess who the first speaker was at the first SuccessNet event in Cleveland, Ohio, at the Dell's Party Center? It was a young brother I had gotten
I
to
know
know.
the answer to this
You
one.
know the answer. A young brother I had gotten to know. And when I was selling encyclopedias, Black history encyclopedias, and he was a radio disc jockey. He was in Columbus, Ohio. His name was Les Brown, and his desire was to go into the speaking business. So I said, "Well, I can help you with that. I'm putting on this event, and if you'd like to be the first speaker, I can pay you, $250, and you can speak." He said, "Yeah, I'd love to do that," and he did. So he was the first speaker. And that was probably one of his first speaking engagement. Of course, now he is one of the iconic speakers in America. Incredible.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how it started, and it's still going. It then morphed from a big seminar into a global conference, and the first one was 2002. First one we had at the Cleveland Convention Center. We had 8,000 people from around the globe.
Wow.
Totally took us by surprise. Second, 9,000. The third was 10,000 people. And we have the video. You may have seen some of the little videos of, at the Cleveland Convention Center, 10,000 people. And that's when I decided I don't want to do this. You can't really teach and train the way I wanted to 10,000 Black people in one place. It all turns into a social event and a party. You could hardly get them into a workshop. Right? And I said, I'm going to change it. I'm moving it from Cleveland. I'm going to take it to Atlanta. And I'm going to make it a hotel-based conference, not a convention center conference. So I want it to be small. I wanted to reduce it from 10,000 to around 1,000, right? With workshops. And that's that model that you've been a part of for these years is modeled, morphed out of this big, massive convention center, 10,000 people kind of thing. Now, so what does that mean? It means that as I was putting on these 10,000 person conferences 25 years ago, right? They just begin to doing them now, right? I was writing books and talking about the power and importance of the relationships in our life, right? Actually, 40 years ago, even before the conference with the workshops, and now I was talking about networking. Now, you cannot go to a conference where networking is not a component of it, and it's part of the Black lexicon. And so you're looking at the brother that started all of that.
Well, oftentimes I listen to the radio and they say, I'm going to reach into the vintage vault. We're going to reach into the vintage vault and show a little something right here, Dr. Fraser.
Okay. All right. I see. Surprise.
All right. Let's roll with it, Dante.
Why am I not surprised that I'm surprised?
In anticipation of a profound insight
for Minister Farrakhan, I prepared a chart. And this is a chart that I think says in another way what he so profoundly provided us today. This chart to me represents beautiful, educated, moneyed Black people all over America. It could represent Black organizations. It could represent Black churches. It could represent Black social and civic organizations. And what you will notice about these beautiful Black people all over America is that everybody is doing their own thing, caught up in a Eurocentric value of rugged individualism, having forgotten that it takes a village to raise a child. There is no power here, brothers and sisters. There is no power here. Power is most effective concentrated. You can take a 55-gallon drum of water, spill it over, it will disperse, find its own level, and eventually evaporate. You can take that same 55-gallon drum of water, put it under pressure, put a lid on it, put a hose in it, put a nozzle on the end of that hose, and it can cut concrete. There is no power with us being disconnected. See, there's nothing wrong with dispersion. I live in Cleveland, you live in Atlanta. We have folk in the Caribbean, we have folk in Africa. That's dispersion. That's okay, but we do not have to be disconnected. We are a disconnected people. We are powerless in disconnection. This is where all the power is. You see? This is where all the power is. Whether you are at the center of your own network or part of someone else's network, this is where the power is. There's a beautiful African proverb that says, when spiders unite, they can tie up a lion. When we connect, because we are disconnected, we're disconnected from those of like mind. We're disconnected from the best practices in our community. I don't care what it is that you want to do, what profession you want to engage in, what business you want to get into. I can introduce you to brothers and sisters all over America they are doing it to death. You just don't know who they are. You are disconnected from them. There is no power in disconnection. Okay? When we connect, we prevent interlopers from coming into our communities and taking and destroying at will.
All right, George.
Try to open up the Booker T. Washington delicatessen in Chinatown and see what happens. So we must connect. We must connect the dots. That must be the movement for our people in the 21st century. We need a lot of us doing a little instead of a few of us doing a lot. We need to get together to get ahead. That is why we must network. That is what we teach at the Power Networking Conference in June in Cleveland. Come and visit with us.
Thank you, George.
There it is.
Wow.
What year was that, Dr. Fraser?
That was in 2008, 2007.
Wow.
2007.
Now there's a couple people that have a couple questions that came up in the chat, and I'm gonna change one of them. One of them says, which networking event did you find the most impactful? Well, I'm gonna say Power Networking Conference. So outside of your own conference, what networking event was most impactful for you?
Well, there were the big three back in the day. There was the National Black MBAs, of which I was on the advisory board. That was a huge and powerful and incredible conference. I'm a life member of the National Black MBAs, although I'm not an MBA, but the honorary kind of thing. And then the Urban League, powerful in terms of the social work that we do, and a lot of very powerful people and speakers, and the NAACP conference. And then one more, the Congressional Black Caucus, which is an annual event every September, which I spoke at about 40 years consecutively, because my Congressman Louis Stokes was one of the co-founders of it, and we were very, very close, him and his brother Carl Stokes. So for me, they shaped the kind of content that we must offer up to our people. So yeah, so a huge influence on me.
What was your relationship like with Earl Graves?
It was very close, very, very close, because hold on, I'm getting something here. He grew up in Bed-Stuy as I grew up in Bed-Stuy, and he was 10 years ahead of me, and he lived not far from where I lived, and he was very influential, and I used to watch him, and he was sort of what I called an arm's length model and mentor for me. He was always very sharp, well, had these sideburns, and we got to know each other. And it's a long story. I don't want to drag it out. I did him a favor with nothing in mind, other than I wanted to be able to do him a favor, and so that I could get to know him. It's something he'd asked me to do, because he was putting on Black Enterprise back in the day, put on networking events. They did it in 8 or 10 cities, and they did it in Cleveland one year. And through a friend of mine, he asked her if she knew someone in Cleveland that could chair his networking event that would come to Cleveland. Okay. And she said, yeah, I know just a guy, and it was me. And I met him, and I said I'll be more than happy to do it. It was a volunteer position. And I did, and it was the best one they had that year. It was 8 cities at that time. We had more people per capita than any of the cities that he was in, including his own city, New York City, right? So he marched in there. I've got a picture on my wall right here of that event. He marched in with the governor of Ohio, which was Dick Celeste at that time, and himself, beautifully attired, and he's got a standing ovation, and we became friends. We became friends for life until he passed. Fast forward 8 years. I was not the kind of person to bug you, but I had with no cell phones at that time, by the way, like we have today. And fast forward 8 years, and I wrote a book. It was called Success Runs in Our Race, The Complete Guide to Effective Networking in the Black Community. And it wasn't the first book on networking. There were 13 books on networking, but they were all targeted to white folk. 2 of them were on the New York Times bestsellers list. So after reading them all, I said, this really needs to be culturally specific. This whole thing on networking, because we're different. We learn differently, we behave differently. You've heard me say a million times, we're oral, visual, tactile, kinesthetic, and auditory learners. That's what we are. And so I wanted to write a book about networking that would speak to the fundamental principles, core values and guiding principles and strategies and tactics, and wrote that book. William Morrow, which is now HarperCollins, did the deal with me. My agent negotiated a deal. She got 3 publishing companies to compete to get the rights to this first book targeted to Black people on networking. And so this is a story I wrote about in the book. When I wrote the book. I got a $500,000 advance. That was unfreaking heard of for an unpublished Black author. I had never written a book in my life. 500. That's how hot the idea was. $500,000. And the book was written, and they said, "Well, Mr. Fraser, do you know anybody that would endorse this book for you? And could you get some endorsements?" I said, "I think I know a few people." So I called Earl, told him what I was doing. I said, "Can I send you it? Not me, but can the publishing company send you a manuscript, and would you review it and give me a little blurb? You know how you get blurbs, right?" He said, "Sure." So that was the first thing I asked him to do. This is now fast forward 8 years later after I did him that solid. And he read it, and he called me back in about a week. And I'm looking for something here. And he said, "George, this is a masterpiece. This is going to be a classic. And he said, we have never done a book we've never had book excerpts in Black Enterprise Magazine. And we'd like to make this our first book excerpt. Because it's going to be the first major book excerpt for Black Enterprise Magazine, you're going to be on the cover. There it is.
Wow.
There it is. There's the first cover right down there. Right? Well, that one move. You give first, you share always, the getting comes later. That one move changed the whole trajectory of my life.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So that's
Networking.
called power. That's called power networking. In fact, he loved the term so much, that was a theme, power networks. Yeah. So that was I know I made a short story long, but
well, I've never heard that story before. I never heard that story.
all right.
And I just happened to ask you about your relationship with Earl Graves because I knew you knew him.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know the full circle. And
Yeah.
that's a great segue into why should someone attend the Power Networking Experience and Expo?
Tony, I need for you to do me a personal favor.
Yes, sir.
Alex Boone, you know who Alex Boone is. Downstairs in my office building, trying to get in here to pick up a check. Right? She was supposed to have been here an hour ago. She's just ringing. Are you here, Alex? Yeah. Can you do that? Because it's 8:42. What time does the show end?
We're going to be done in the next 5 minutes.
Oh,
how about that?
15 minutes. I'll be down. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. All right.
I love it.
Well, you said 5 minutes, but you always have to recalibrate that into Negro time. So if you're 80 years old, you understand that 5 minutes is really 15 minutes. As Michelle said, you're paid for what you know, right?
That is true.
This is a lesson for young husbands, right? Because I'll be home in 5 minutes, babe.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. That's exactly right. So anyway, but as you were saying, and I don't, that was a genius on how you teed that up. Right?
That's just that.
Yeah. But you're right. That's a living testimony to the power and importance of effective networking. Right? That's the first principle of networking. It's the biggest mistake we make when networking. I talk about this all the time. Is that most people network to get something wrong. Mm-hmm. You network to give, and as you give, you get. You ain't giving, you ain't getting. If you have nothing, it's because you've given nothing. Now, these are the principles and others that you learn at the Power Networking Conference. In addition to learning the art and science of effective networking, you will also understand how to build and to scale new businesses, because that's one of the primary focuses. The second is building and managing our wealth, because we're at the bottom of every single economic statistic that matters in America. That's the second cornerstone of the foundation. Networking is the third. And then the fourth, it's sort of a new subject that I'm going to be talking about, and it's on the one of the flyers. One of the flyers we show couples. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about what I consider to be the number one issue in our culture for the next 3 generations. It is not that building and managing wealth isn't a huge issue and a huge opportunity to do better. It's huge, right? And the same thing with building and scaling our businesses so that we can create work and jobs for our people, right? Mm-hmm. But the biggest one, the existential one that leads us to a crisis if we don't fix it. And white folks, and you've heard me say this a million times, ain't nobody fixing black people but black people. It's in 400
Right.
years, and we ain't fixed and we ain't saved. Who the hell are we waiting for? We're waiting for us. And it's the gathering of and these kinds of workshops and seminars and Zoom calls and conferences where you preach the same gospel in your particular subject matter expertise, that over time we will fix this problem. What is the problem, Dr. Fraser? It's the problem of the disintegration of the Black family.
Black family.
The disintegration of the Black family. There is no culture in the history of humankind that has risen to maximize their full cultural potential without family at the center of that culture. Okay, marriage in our culture is in ruins. When I was a kid and you were a kid, 85% of us were married. Today, 34% of us are married. Right? 80% of our children are born out of wedlock. And 70% of our children are raised in a single parent household, principally by a woman. That's against all biblical principles. You need two energies, male and female energy. So if we look at what's happening to the raising of our children, let's just say over the last generation or two, are we happy with that? No, I don't think so. So we have to fix those things. So we're going to be talking about how do we fix the whole idea and concept of family in our culture, and there is a real issue between Black males and Black females. That's a whole show. We could talk about that.
The whole conference all by itself, isn't it?
How we repair that,
Right.
Because we have to be together on this. So those are the big things that we talk about over a 4-day period of time, 12 hours a day. So there's plenty of knowledge, plenty of subject matter expertise. Michelle is one of the coaches, mentors. You are certainly part of the faculty as well. And this year we've got Master P. We've got Rohan Marley, the son of Bob Marley, who took the Marley brand and turned it into $100 million business. He's not the most popular of all the living Marleys. Ziggy is, but he's the business mind. He's going to teach us how he did that. We are going to have, of course, the Reverend Dr. Jamal Bryant will be closing us out. And we have a very, very, very big guest for the first time. Big guest. And that is Congressman Hakeem Jeffries will be there. Now, let's think about who Congressman Hakeem Jeffries is. When the Democrats went back to House, because the Republicans only have a one vote margin, when we went back at the election, guess who will be the new Speaker of the House? Hakeem Jeffries will be. He will be the most powerful Black man in America. Okay. So. Yeah, and he'll be there live in a living color. So it's the place that you want to be. You want to do some power networking. You want to meet some subject matter expertise who are worth just to have a conversation with them for an hour. It's $500. That's what you would normally pay. $500. That's what I get. Someone who calls me and says, I'd like to. Can you do some consulting? Can I do some consulting? And it's $500 an hour. That's twice as much as a top lawyer earns. Why? I'm 80 years old. I have a lot of successes under my belt. I know a few things. I know a little something, right? And so people are willing to pay, precisely what Michelle said. So that's how that's what you can expect. You go on the website.
Yeah. So let's roll that website too.
Yeah.
Let's roll that website too. That is the powernetworkingconference.com. And right now, for the next 10 days till the next 10 days, it is still 72% off. The online price right now is 40% off, and there's a discount code TRMC 2024 that gives you another 32% off of that price. And not only for you, but you can bring a young adult with you between the age of 18 and 25. And so all that's there on the website and using that discount code. And so we want to make sure that you do that and that you come and be a part of the conference. Also, right now, there are still blocks available for the hotel at a discount rate. And so you see it there scrolling on your screen, thepowernetworkingconference.com, discount code TRMC 2024. We need 5 people to buy their tickets tonight. Go ahead and get your ticket tonight. Do not wait. Do not wait. Do not miss the discount of that extra 40% that you now can get, bringing your total discount down to 72%. And right now there's still rooms available at the rate. It's going to take place at the Westin Hotel in Uptown Charlotte. Beautiful facility right across the street from the convention center where the conference will take place.
It's attached to the convention center.
Attached. Yep. There's a walkway.
Yeah.
You don't even have to dodge traffic. You just walk right across. And also the other thing is come and take opportunity for networking at the Top Golf event as well. You will see a link there on the website that takes you straight to that event. That is a nonprofit. That is a fundraising event for scholarships and we'll have to bring you back, Dr. Fraser, to talk about the National Museum, the African American Museum. You will do it another time, but that we'll also have proceeds going to that museum project. So, Dr. Fraser, we're close to that 15 minutes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you being on.
Thank you. Michelle, looking forward to seeing you with the conference, Tony, of course. And one word of wisdom. One little sentence of wisdom. The greatest gift you have to give, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, the greatest gift that you have to give is that of your own self-transformation.
Mm-hmm.
Grow, connect, and prosper.
Yes. There it is. Well, folks, have a wonderful night. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back same place, same time next week. And next week we'll come back and we're going to honor our fathers because it's Father's Day. If y'all didn't know, Father's Day is coming up. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Thanks, not
good.
All
right now.